Hi, everybody. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas, and welcome to the Palace Theater. I'm Scott Spradling. I'll be your MC and host for this afternoon's Speedway Children's Charities big giveaway for 2023. I always sort of consider this my own personal unofficial kickoff because can't help but feel a little bit like we're Team Santa, being able to give out something for the holidays in recognition of some truly amazing things that are done on behalf of children in New Hampshire and throughout northern New England. Over the years, we have made quite the strides with this particular chapter and this effort. All year long, the Speedway team works hard, led by Danielle Sear, who is just absolutely moving towards sainthood status with the work that she does on this. So many different projects, so many different exciting gatherings that are meant for fun. I mean, that's what the Speedway's business is all about. Go fast, turn left if it's not the road course, and have a good time while doing it. You know, like David and I were joking, this ain't a suit and tie kind of business. It's an adrenaline rush. It's a lot of fun. It's an important business. It's a great magnet for tourism. But within the threads of all of that activity at the Speedway lies Danielle and her team and the full Speedway team under David McGrath to help raise extra funds to be able to essentially pay it forward. That's what the exercise is. We've been doing it for a number of years, and the numbers, as David and Danielle will be able to tell you, are remarkable. We are at the point where we've touched the same number of souls over the years we've been doing this as there are people in the state of New Hampshire. It's well over 1 million people served. So you're like the McDonald's of charitable giving at this point. It's pretty impressive. But it's a wonderful day. We're so glad that you are here and joining us for this wonderful ceremony. It is definitely an emotional highlight for all of us because it ends up also being that reward for the work done all year long. So the clever ways in which funds were raised all throughout the year, a lot of this is a celebration of Danielle's brain, and we're thrilled to be here. But I'd like to kick things off with our Executive Vice President and General Manager, David McGrath of New Hampshire Motor Speedway, to say a few words and to welcome you and talk a little bit more about this event. David?
Thank you, Scott. Can everybody hear me okay? Oh, good. Wonderful. First off, I'd like to extend a big thank you to Manchester Mayor Joyce Craig for being here today, and thank you for hosting us in your wonderful city. And to the Palace Theater, thank you. This is such a wonderful place. I always say this every year, but I love what you've done with it. It's always very festive. To our friends at Crayon for supporting Speedway Children's Charities as part of their partnership with New Hampshire Motor Speedway and all of our sister speedways across the country, Speedway Motorsports. So thank you, Crayon. And a special thank you and welcome to Ian Ryan and the team at Toyota Motor North America in Boston, or Mansfield, where their region is located. Our relationship with Toyota is deep and something that I personally love and respect, and I'm so glad Ian is here and helped us with a wonderful auto show that helps support Speedway Children's Charities with donations from that show. So thank you and welcome. And of course to Danielle, Scott kind of alluded to it a minute ago. Danielle is our rock, so thank you, Danielle, for all that you do on top of your other responsibilities with our Director of Marketing and with helping out of other speedways across the country. She finds the time to do such a wonderful job with Speedway Children's Charities, and to the board that helps us with all the hard work and all the heavy lifting and all the volunteers who help us during these event weekends. And as Scott alluded to, don't forget, everything that we're giving out today is a result of all the hard work that occurs at our events and all the generosity of NASCAR fans across New England. They are some of the best fans in the world, and I'll tell you, there is no higher calling than helping children in need, and NASCAR fans truly understand that, as do you, the wonderful organizations. And then, of course, we're so grateful for all the kids' lives that we touch in our communities. And Scott alluded to a minute ago about the numbers that Speedway Children's Charity has generated over the years. But since its inception, some 40-some-odd years ago, our late, great founder, Bruton Smith, started Speedway Children's Charities after the tragic loss of his youngest son, Cameron. And, you know, Marcus Smith, who is our CEO and the son of Bruton, he always says this about what's most important as being a speedway in a community is that it's a community and that we're here to give back and to serve the people that come in and enjoy our speedways all across the country. And it greatly matters to give back. So it's wonderful to be a part of that and to see all the culmination of all that hard work today. This year, we're giving out over $131,000 to 40-some organizations today. So big round of applause. That's outstanding. Since this charity got started, we've given out over $4.2 million in grants, just this one alone, which is wonderful. And as a company, or as a overall of all of our speedways across the country, Speedway Children's Charities has given away almost over $69 million to kids in need all across the United States. So quite an organization, and we're so thankful to be a part of it and have it here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. So again, I thank you all. I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful holiday season, and thank you for being here, and thank you for all the hard work you do for kids in need all across New England. So I'll turn it back over to Scott. Thank you.
We can't do this alone, and we are so honored to be able to be here at the Palace Theater. Our friends at the Palace have hosted us here now several years in a row, and it's symbolic of the relationship we have with the Queen City and with the mayor of our state's largest city. Joyce Craig has served with distinction here in the Queen City. For those of you who are not from this area, she's wrapping up her final term in office to pursue new adventures here in the state of New Hampshire, but she's really been a friend of New Hampshire Motor Speedway, of Speedway Children's Charities, and of children and their causes. I think about the nicest thing I can ever say about someone who serves in politics and jumps into that lion's den of an arena to have to try to get something, anything done, and try to herd the cats that are our political system. If you've left it better than you found it, you've done something, and that's Joyce Craig. So we're so thrilled and honored to be able to celebrate her closing days as mayor of Manchester, and also someone who is here every year to help us celebrate and hand out the checks and be a part of this wonderful day. Mayor Joyce Craig.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Scott, for your kind words. That means so much. And I want to thank David and Danielle as well for inviting me to join you here today, but more importantly, for all that you do for children throughout our state. This is a lot of work and a lot of focus, and I just want you to know how much we all appreciate your focus, Danielle and David. Thank you. I'd like to first offer a special thanks to those who donated time and money as well to the New Hampshire chapter of Speedway Children's Charities. And thank you to everyone in attendance here who works diligently to better the lives of children, not only in Manchester, but across New Hampshire and New England. The spirit of giving is what this season is all about. And I'm honored Manchester has been host to this event for 10 consecutive years. Plus, as David said, there is no better place than to be in the beautiful Palace Theater during the holidays. There are 27 organizations from across the region who are receiving funds this year, 9 of whom are based here in Manchester, but all are dedicated to serving children. The list of recipients today are among the wonderful organizations that make New Hampshire and New England so special. I want to thank all of you for your dedication and service to children. I'm so grateful to be here with you to recognize the outstanding work that you do. Thank you so much.
Get my glasses out for this so I get this right. So before we move on to this year's grants, and what we'll do is in just a couple of minutes, I will introduce each of the nonprofit organizations that will be receiving a check. You can come up those stairs, come across, be ready with the mayor, with Milo, with Danielle, and with David for a quick photo, and then you can come back down, and then at the end we'll do a big group photo where Alan, our photographer, who's around here lurking somewhere doing a wonderful job, will take a shot. So that's how things will run, but before we do that, I'd like to introduce someone who you've already heard us talk about her before, but it's kind of really important to understand the impact that Danielle has in the 3 years now that you've been doing this. Don't ask her it's 3, it probably feels more like 27 because of how hard she works on it. But she's really revitalized this program to create new ways to raise funds, all while continuing to learn more about how a nonprofit organization works. And then, as David said, maintaining her full-time job, which includes more than one Speedway around the country. She recently actually put her body where her spirit is with all of this by creating the 1,000 Friends Challenge and personally raising more than $4,000 herself for the New Hampshire Speedway Children's Charities chapter through her participation in an Ironman triathlon in Maryland. So just stop for a second. Ironman triathlon, which means, oh, I don't know, you have to run something, you have to swim something, you have to bike something, so that takes a little bit of time to get ready for. She's doing marketing for the Speedway. She does the Speedway Children's Charities chapter. She got married not that long ago. She's also doing marketing work for our Texas Speedway and drawn into a number of other events because we share resources with SMI. So we're not convinced that she sleeps, but when she does, it must be like a 5-minute run. It's just incredible what she does. She's indefatigable. She truly has heart, soul, sneakers, and wetsuit invested in raising as much money as possible to help as many children through New England as she and we can. So please join me in welcoming the director of the New Hampshire chapter of Speedway Children's Charities, Danielle Sear.
Scott, you're too kind. Yes, I did do a full Ironman, but that's what keeps me sane. You know, I swim a little, bike a little, and run a little. I mean, sometimes I bike to work. You know, that clears the head so I could get all of this stuff accomplished. So that's really kind of you. Thank you. And also, thank you, Mayor Joyce, for joining us. And, you know, David, thank you for all the support you always provide me all year long. Good afternoon to everyone here, and thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us today for this fun, joyous event. I also want to start off with some thank yous. You know, the Palace Theater, every year, you guys knock it out of the park. You make my job easy. It's already beautifully set up. We can bring some banners, and we have an awesome backdrop here, so thank you. Mayor Joyce Craig, you know, you helped make this day so special, and we really appreciate you joining us. And to my board members that are here in the crowd, I would love for you to stand. We couldn't do it without you. I know Scott is here, Kate, Dr. Amy, please stand. Thank you all so much. Colleen, David, you know, Kate, I could not accomplish any of this alone without such an amazing team. So thank you all for your tireless work, efforts, time, and commitment. All of the volunteers that come and join us, you know, I know not a lot of them are here today, but, you know, without the volunteers that come and help us on race weekend, we couldn't raise the amount of money that we do. And to you, all of the workers and employees and your staff and your teams that help children every day, you know, without your tireless efforts, all these children wouldn't get the help and assistance that they so desperately need. So thank you for all of your effort as well. As David mentioned, in 2023, it was an amazing year for the New Hampshire chapter. We were able to host many events that our race fans look forward to each year. Some of them being the motorcycle ride to the racetrack that we join up with Laconia Harley-Davidson. Signing the track wall banner. It's a fun one on race weekend because fans actually get their own name inscribed on our wall during the NASCAR Cup race. Our third annual NASCAR Weekend 50-50 raffle. I know I was speaking with a couple of folks in the audience who actually joined us last July and helped sell some tickets for that. It's so fun. People get really excited about it, and I know next year we're going to hit our goal of hitting $100,000 in that 50-50 raffle. The popular track walk was led by Corey LaJoy last year. We do a loop around the Magic Mile Saturday morning of race weekend. Fans have a blast, you know, walking around the track, hanging out with a NASCAR driver. It's a great time. Our second annual cornhole tournament, we also host the Wicked Good Live auction and we had a special appearance by a NASCAR Cup Series driver, Christopher Bell, this year. Even though it was pouring rain and we were inside a tent, we still had a great time at the auction and still raised a lot of money and had a lot of fun. And, we had the Dale Junior Foundation Safe Kids 301 event in May, where we allow children and families to ride their bicycles around the facility. It's a free event. Dartmouth Hitchcock Hospital provides helmets, and they do safety checks to bicycles. It's a great time. And we have multiple laps for charity events all year long, where people can take their actual personal vehicle on our oval and our road course. The money goes to support the charity, and people have a lot of fun. We joined forces with Pro Rider 603 earlier this year to kick off the 100th Laconia Motorcycle Week Rally, and kicked off the brand new event called Top Cop for Kids Motorcycle Challenge. This was presented by Laconia Harley Davidson, and we had the region's finest motorcycle riders, not only police officers, but we also had civilians, and they were put to the test to see who had what it takes to be named Top Cop. This was a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to hosting that again in June of 2024. We teamed up with Murph's NH to create a collection of unique reusable bags. They were made from recycled banners that were from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway property, and they were displayed during major events at the Magic Mile. The bags are also sold online and in person during our NASCAR Cup weekend, and proceeds from these bags come directly to New Hampshire Motor Speedway. So that's been a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to continuing the relationship with Murph's NH, and it gives us, rather than just throwing all of our banners on property away, we get to reuse them, and the bags are great. I love to use them for my groceries personally. We are so grateful for each and every person who participated in the events and for each person who purchased a one-of-a-kind bag. We also had support from Crayon. They support Speedway Children's Charities across the country, so we thank them for the support. And again, I just wanted to mention Ian Ryan from Toyota Motor North America. That's a mouthful. I'm excited to see where our relationship's going to grow with the car shows that you guys are hosting down in Massachusetts, and I look forward to working with you again in 2024. And speaking of looking forward, the board and I are hard at work planning an exciting lineup for next year. We have that goal of $100,000 and for that 50-50 raffle, so hopefully we'll get that number in June. Just need to pray for no rain this year. We're focused on expanding awareness of Speedway Children's Charities throughout New England, not only by building relationships with more corporate partners, but also by expanding our board members to include a wider representation across the country. And before we get to the best part of today's ceremony, I just want to remind everyone you guys can also help us. We enthusiastically welcome you to support us throughout our events throughout the year by volunteering and helping us fundraise. So now I think it's time that we should hand out some of these checks, and let's hand out this money. Thank you. We'll get everything set up. Okay. I'll go over here.
All right, so if I can ask the mayor and David to come on up, it is time. So let's see. So when I announce your organization, please come up to the stage using that staircase, and you can come right to the center where we'll have a photograph. Let me just make sure. Yeah, Alan's already in place, so we're in good shape there. And we'll just take the ball and run with it here. So we'll do our photographs, and you can come back down, then we'll do a group photo. This is in alphabetical order. So we're starting with Best Buddies in New Hampshire in Bedford. The school friendship program builds one-to-one friendships between students with and without intellectual and developmental disabilities, improving the quality of life for a population that is often isolated and excluded. By the way, can we have a little Christmas music underneath? Yeah, there we go. Let's be festive, shall we? So for Best Buddies, goals include increasing opportunities for socialization and inclusion for students with intellectual and developmental disabilities, developing critical social skills in students with and without intellectual and developmental disabilities, and increasing awareness of the abilities of children with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We're already off to a good start. So you see what they've done? Do that. Next up, Big Brothers Big Sisters of New Hampshire in Stratham. Are they coming up? Okay, we'll hold on to their check. Next up is the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Nashua. Those folks here. Still looking. Okay, that's all right. Boys and Girls Club of Metro West in Marlborough. Do we have those folks? If you're still waiting, that's okay, all right. Northern Ireland. How about the Bridge Project in Lincoln? Bridge Project? Moving rapidly. Camp Words Unspoken in Westfield, Mass. There we go, now they're jumping up. Camp Words Unspoken provides group speech therapy organized by speech-language pathologists. Recreational activities are offered, which include swimming, kayaking, archery, arts and crafts, and many field games. The goal at Camp Words Unspoken is to build confident communicators. This is achieved through improving self-confidence, creating new friendships, and embarking on new experiences in a unique summer camp environment. The campers leave camp feeling better prepared to begin their school year. Thank you very much. Next up, the Cromwell Center for Disabilities Awareness in Portland, Maine. Okay, we'll keep rolling. Next one up is Dreams for Emily in Taunton. There we go. For the past 8 years, one of their projects for children at risk of wandering is to assist local families to keep their children safe from wandering and potential life-threatening incidents. Dreams for Emily will be purchasing the Project Lifesaver tracking bracelets to distribute to families with children who have autism to keep them safe in cooperation with the Bristol County Sheriff's Department. Next up, Eastern Maine Healthcare Systems. This is also part of Eastern Maine Medical Center's Northlight Eastern Maine Medical Center in Bangor. Hosted at the Bangor Region's YMCA's Camp Jordan, Camp Hope is a free week-long summer camp experience for children diagnosed, currently undergoing treatment, or recovering from cancer and blood disorders. Operated by volunteers, medical providers, and camp staff, the camp brings young patients and families for a week of joyful experiences on the shores of the beautiful, sparkling waters of Branch Lake. Congratulations and thank you. Next up, our neighbors from Easter Seals, New Hampshire, right here in Manchester. Okay. Followed by Fit NH in New Hampshire. Families in transition. So glad they're here. Their Manchester Family Emergency Shelter houses up to 11 families, expanding to 14 later on in the next few months, and they provide 3 meals daily. This shelter helps ensure families avoid difficult decisions between housing, healthcare, or food, allowing them to begin to regain long-term stability. There is a wait list for more than 85 families, so the need is great. The goal is to help meet basic needs and engage with participants via case management to guide them in overcoming barriers in finding and retaining housing. Next up, Friends of Anya in Manchester. Friends of Anya helps children develop tools to cope effectively after the death of a loved one. They use an evidence-based, peer-to-peer grief support group model. Because each child grief cycle is unique and often differs by developmental stage, their bereavement programs are tailored by age. They deliver age-appropriate grief services to children, teens, and young adults ages 4 through 26. Come here. Next up is Girls Inc. of New Hampshire in Manchester. The Mind and Body program helps young girls manage stress, build confidence, substance abuse prevention, and promotes healthy relationships and decision-making. The goals of this program are to manage stress from school and/or in one's personal life, to combat body image issues and promote healthy decision-making. Many thanks to Girls Inc. Up next, the Greater Seacoast Community Health in Portsmouth. Greater Seacoast Community Health's Health Care for the Homeless program provides primary care and coordination services to individuals experiencing homelessness or housing instability. Several weekly clinics are offered in 5 towns at locations that serve the same populations, such as churches, food pantries, shelters, and other nonprofits. The primary program goal is to mitigate barriers to healthcare access, such as transportation, stigma, fear, and poverty. Next up, Haven, Violence Prevention and Support Services in Portsmouth. Our friends from Haven here? Okay, we'll keep rolling. Next up, In the Hour of Need, Family Shelter. That's a Friendly House in Worcester, Massachusetts. So the Friendly House in Worcester is a safety net for the social safety net. Their aim is to stabilize families through temporary housing, assist them in regaining independence, and provide the support to be successful. The families work with their case manager and support staff on individual service plans to build necessary skills such as financial literacy, social service advocacy, housing searches, and job training. 90% of guests maintain secure, stable housing once they leave In the Hour of Need Family Shelter. What a wonderful percentage. Congrats to that. Thanks very much. Next up, Lakes Region Santa Fund in Guilford. The funds donated will go towards purchasing coats, snow pants, and boots for Lakes Region Santa Fund's annual outerwear distribution to the schools for all children who need it. They see their results every day in the cold weather as they drive through the streets of the Lakes Region, seeing their colorful coats on the side of the road walking to school in the morning. They are committed to getting these coats on every child who needs one and are extremely diligent to get that accomplished. Congratulations. Next up, the Mary and John Elliott Charitable Foundation in Bedford. Vecta Mobile Sensory Station and sensory carts are customized to meet each child's sensory preferences and needs. These resources offer children a multisensory experience utilized as distraction during hands-on care and procedures, and/or are adapted to promote regulation, relaxation, or opportunities for interactive play. They plan to utilize this resource with children who are neurodivergent and/or children who benefit from additional positive sensory input through various units in the hospital. I feel smarter just reading that. Next up, the Massachusetts Coalition for the Homeless in Lynn, Mass. Low-income expectant mothers will receive education on healthy and safe sleep before and after the child's birth and obtain resources, safe tools, and material items for infants to sleep, grow, and thrive. Education approved by the American Academy of Pediatrics for safe sleep is provided for 117 weeks, along with cribs, infant swaddles, mattresses, fitted sheets, developmental toys, and clothing. When the child turns 2 years old, they receive beds, books, and bedding accessories, among other resources. I would like to put in a bid right now for an adult swaddle, if we have any of those. Right? Why am I just doing that for infants? I totally could use a swaddle after a long day. Who doesn't want a swaddle after a long, hard day at work? I think we're onto something. Moving on. Nashua Police Athletic League in Nashua, New Hampshire. Our friends, yep, they're here. Excellent. The Nashua Police Athletic League Youth Safe Haven After-School Summer Program serves more than 250 historically disadvantaged youth ages 7 to 18 in Greater Nashua. They seek to reduce juvenile delinquency by building up young people and equipping them with the tools they need to be successful, contributing adults. Youth are actively educated and engaged with year-round activities including after-school homework help, one-on-one tutoring, adult and peer mentoring, community service projects, and field trips. Congratulations. Next up, New Hampshire Catholic Charities here in Manchester, New Hampshire. Are they here? I'm seeing movement, but I can't tell. Okay, we'll get to them. Following that, gosh, I hope they're here because we're here. The Palace Theater Trust, I think here in Manchester. Yes, there she comes. I figured you'd be here. The Palace Theater Trust aims to enrich the region's cultural life and serve as a community resource through its stewardship of the historic Palace Theater. It does so by providing a broad range of live, high-quality, professional, and community performances, as well as educational opportunities for performers and audiences of all ages. And thank you for hosting us. Our next grant goes to Revitalize Community Development Corporation in Springfield, Massachusetts. Their Nutrition RX program will provide 188 low-income food insecure children who are obese with culturally appropriate meals designed for each child. They work with them and their family to understand how to cook nutritious meals and the importance of regular physical activity. The program goal is to improve the health and well-being of children by addressing food insecurity and increasing understanding of diabetes and the importance of nutritious eating and physical activity. It's wonderful. Next up, Safari Youth Club in Manchester. We'll hold on to that for them, followed by Sleep in Heavenly Peace, serving Hillsborough, Rochester, and Sullivan counties in New Hampshire. The New Hampshire chapter of Sleep in Heavenly Peace assembles and delivers fully furnished beds to children in need, partnering with local organizations, churches, businesses, and community members to build them. They show volunteers how to take a pile of wood and construct twin bed frame components with drills, sanders, and saws. Following each build day, volunteers help deliver the beds to local families that applied and qualified for one. Thank you. Next up, the Sports Museum of New England in Boston. Boston vs. Bullies is an award-winning educational program that leverages the powerful platform of sports to help stop bullying in our schools and our communities at large. The video-based program features 8 current Boston athletes providing students with practical bullying prevention strategies. Thank you very much. Next up, Twin Rivers Food Pantry in Franklin. Feed the Need provides supplemental weekend food bags for children living in households that struggle with food insecurity. The program addresses the gap in the availability of consistent and nutritious food during times when school meals are not available, specifically weekends and lengthy vacations. Grant funds will be used to purchase food items that are not available through the New Hampshire Food Bank or in sufficient quantities through individual donations and targeted food drives. Thank you so much. Coming down the home stretch, next up is Webster House Children's Home in Manchester. The mental health of Webster House Children's Home residents has been increasingly unstable and deteriorating due to their childhood trauma, the impact of COVID, and the challenges securing therapy for them in the community. This requires Webster House Children's Home to hire full-time clinicians to support their needs. The only unused space is the attic, which will create a safe, comfortable space for residents to meet individually in offices and also in nurture groups in a conference room. Thank you. Next up, the YMCA of Metro North in Peabody, Massachusetts, or as my family insists on saying, Peabody, because they just like to drive us nuts. And we'll invite our YMC friends to stay up here. And after that photo, everybody come on up. Each week, 550 kids are served at Camp Eastman in Peabody and Camp Hillside in Saugus. Camp inclusion specialists assist campers who have a diagnosis, may come from a challenging home situation, or just struggle with the camp routine. Specialists work directly with the camper, their families, and camp staff to implement planned support and activity adaptation to ensure all campers have the best summer ever. So last but not least, and I will invite all of the recipients to come back up on stage, and while doing so, I'll just name some of the others that are receiving grants this year. Who else? And the board members? Yep, come on, everybody come on up. I'd like to recognize that handful of organizations that told us that they just weren't going to be able to make it this year, because Danielle has done a phenomenal job of really spreading the wealth and stretching these dollars. Other recipients this year are the Boys and Girls Club of Northern Rhode Island, Camp Sunshine at Sebago Lake in Maine, Gotta Have Soul Foundation in Cranston, Rhode Island, the Salvation Army Carey House in Laconia, Slappy and Mondays Foundation for Laughter, which is in Suffolk County, Massachusetts, and Providence County, Rhode Island, the Stamford Hospital in Stamford, Connecticut, Susan Curtis Foundation in Portland, Maine, Tilton Northfield Recreation Council, the Treehouse Foundation in East Hampton, Mass., Vermont Food Bank in Barre, Vermont, and Waypoint in Manchester. So congratulations to all of you for the amazing work you do each and every day. And now we will jump in for a group photo. So on behalf of Danielle and all of Speedway Children's Charities, thank you all for being here. Have a wonderful holiday, and thanks for all that you do in the cause of children. Take care. And before people go too far, can I have the Speedway staff come up for a photo?